Good afternoon. This is Clark Neighbors with BIS Commodities with the market recap for October 28, 2016. As we approach the end of the month, just kind of some quick numbers to look at. Corn for the week was up 3 cents. For the month of October, up 19 cents. Keep in mind, D's corn has had some resistance at 360. We have failed to go through that value at this point. Beans for the week, 26 cents higher, 57 cents higher for the month of October. We've had a pretty good run since the October 12th crop report. 1020 is kind of a key resistance on the November beans. We have breached that number on the January, but closed below that today with some late profit taking. Keep in mind when you look at the corn market over the last couple months, the end of August, the end of September, we saw pressure in the market only to be realized by what looks to be new money coming in the market the first 2 days of the following month with nice little pops. So we'll see if that follows suit. Funds continue to be long beans and short corn and wheat. We don't have the updated commitment to traders report at this time, but expecting to see the bean number to increase in length and the corn and the wheat number to slightly decrease on their short positions. Also for the week, cattle market was up $2.40. It's had nice strength after last Friday's cattle on feed report, and hogs for the week up $4. So all the ag commodities have had a pretty good run here over the last week, and especially the last 4 weeks, more specifically in the soybeans, with soybeans up for 4 consecutive weeks. Cash markets, grains, as we approach the tail end of harvest in many areas, heavy cash movement based on logistical issues, transportation issues, but more space and just getting the crop put away. Interestingly enough, bean spreads, the Novjan bean spreads, as wide as we've seen in several years. At the same point, the D's March corn spread is the narrowest we've seen since the drought year of 2012. So kind of opposite storylines on the beans and the corn. Bean basis continues to be historically very cheap for this time of year. Normally, on normal years, you see pretty good basis improvement on soybeans from the middle of October to right around the 1st of December. Here we are at the end of October. We haven't seen that improvement in basis yet on beans. We're coming out of a pretty big hole. We're still trying to get bean movement in place with this huge export program, so that'll be interesting to watch. At the same point, in the east, we're seeing glimpses of corn basis starting to improve where harvest is done, especially say around processor Decatur, Illinois, and some of the locations going east. What's looking to occur once again, as we've seen in the last few years, pressure in the basis in the cash markets in the west, and potentially some premium in the cash or the cash markets in the east. We'll see if that progresses as harvest goes. Another thing of interest in the general dynamics of the commodity trade, the dollar index is at or near the highest level it's been since February. Now you look at those February highs and the highs in the dollar index late in 2015. Keep in mind those are the highest the dollar index has been since earlier in the millennium, earlier in the 2000s. At the same point, though, over this strength in the dollar, as I mentioned earlier, we've seen some strength in commodities as a whole with the CRB index trying to go to 4-month highs. Much of that's due to what I mentioned earlier in the ags, and also some strength we've seen in the energy trade. Keys going forward, obviously South American weather is going to be the main talking point as far as the grains, or more specifically the bean complex, through the winter months. Mato Grosso is off to a very good start of planting. They're ahead of schedule on soybeans, but we're just entering that transition where we're focusing more on South American weather. Obviously that will be a main talking point through the winter months. On November the 9th, we have the supply and demand update, production update. Trade's looking for an increase in bean yield as we get closer to that report. Corn's a little more in question. The day prior to that, we have the U.S. election. That could have some impact on the markets as it stems into dollars and investment ideas going forward. And then last but not least, we're starting to see, with this recent strength in the market, what looks to be some fund activity or managed money coming back into commodities. So we will address that issue if it does progress as we go through the winter months. This has been Clark Neighbors with BIS Commodities in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. If you have any questions on any of these commodities or any others, please feel free to call us at 1-800-373-2525 or biscommodities.com. Have a great weekend.